Hello everybody, RJ Salveson here. Time to get you ready for the Boise State Broncos, and in doing so, we want to give you the audio from the Monday presser for Utah State football. Utah State got a thrilling win, 26-21 over the Wyoming Cowboys, and get ready for the Boise State Broncos this Saturday night. So to start off, let's hear from the old head ball coach, Gary Andersen.
Quick recap, another crazy, great Mountain West Conference football game. Two good teams battled right down to the wire again. Wyoming is a really good football team. They've shown that all year long, and it was a great game. Physical, tough, went back and forth. You look at those games, and it can come down to a play here, a play there, but a whole bunch of plays that could be made one way or the other to swing it, and fortunately we made just enough to be able to win the football game. So, my hat goes off to that program. I think anybody that understands how we thought about them during the week, that was very obvious that they're a very good team. And they've been built the right way, and so it was awesome to get a victory. I thought the kids played extremely hard. They were prepared. They worked hard through the week, battled through the momentum swings of the game, which we're always going to have. And this team just finds a way to continually get in those fights and battles back with when the other team does some really good things and gets up on them, or we, every team has some self-inflicted wounds. There's some of those we can work on. We need to coach it better, help them get better in those spots, and but they bounced back from it and found a way to get a victory. I'm just so proud of them as a whole. They get bowl eligible. Satisfied with, we have 6 wins and we're satisfied with that? Absolutely not. But I'm the first guy to stand up and say that's a great accomplishment. There's a reason that there is bowl games and you get the 6 wins, and you'll probably hear me say this 3 or 4 more times, but I'm going to keep saying it because when you get to 6 wins, you have a chance to go to a bowl game. So it's something very good that's happened to this football team, and I'm very proud of them, and they should be proud of the fact that they got to that point. Satisfied again? Absolutely not, but proud and happy of that accomplishment. You bet. If you lose sight of that, you're not fired up about that accomplishment, then boy, oh boy, that's it's a pretty bad place to live for a football team. It's one of their major goals, obviously, and we still have major goals out in front of us. We're excited about the future. Boise, tremendous football team. Obviously, year in and year out, they are just the foundation of consistency within this league. Obviously, year in and year out, it's well deserved. They do things the right way. Tough-minded kids. They recruit the right way. You can see it when they, their ability to be able to sustain and maintain and deal with an injury here, an injury there, or the ups and downs that come with the seasons. They handle those very, very well. So it's a great program. It's not a good program. It's a great program, and we're excited to get an opportunity to compete against them in a great setting at our place. And it's elimination game number 3 for the Aggies, and they've passed the first 2 tests. So here we go again, elimination game number 3. So we'll start preparing today and work very hard at it, understanding that we have another extremely quality opponent, the best of the best over the years in this conference. So they gain your respect very quickly.
Story goes on with Munoz. He's now named co-player of the week in the conference defensively from being in your office a couple of weeks ago, wanting to play to where he's at now.
Yeah, it's an awesome story, and I'm so happy for Eric, and all of those awards are well-deserved. I think every one of them need to be pointed out, from just a kid that battles because he loves the game of football and kept finding his way, and hey, I'll do whatever I have to do to keep playing football. And it showed up since January. It showed up in the weight room. He's a hard worker, and he's adjusted to the scheme where we're at, what we're doing. But at the end of the day, he's the one that went out there and made those plays with the support of his teammate. And I think the coach Jen has done a great job of helping him understand and absorb the scheme. But Eric goes out there and does what he does and did what he did in that situation because he prepared himself for that moment long ago, not just the last 2 weeks or whatever it may be. And all the credit in the world goes to him and his teammates for helping him get into that spot. And as coaches, we'll do all we can to help them, but they go out there on game day. It's about them being in that moment, getting in that moment, and when opportunity presents itself, take advantage of that opportunity. And that's exactly what he did. He made some spectacular plays in that game, but when opportunity presented itself, he took advantage. It makes you smile, it does your heart good. All those good things that come out of football that I believe in for kids, that's what's happened for Eric here in the last couple days. It's fantastic to see his reaction and it's been fantastic to see his team's reaction. And again, it just goes back to how this team has been from the very beginning. They've been tight. I try to talk to them all the time about being a fist and being a tight-knit fist, squeeze that fist and keep it tight. And they've done that, and it's a credit to them.
On paper, there were two other really productive defensive players, along with Eric. You had Kevin, and then you had Troy Leffridge.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of growth have you seen from those two players this year?
Well, I think, Kevin, we've talked quite a bit about Kevin being the leader. Even when Woody was there, Kevin is the vocal leader. Woody is what he is as a player, which is not a good player, not a great player, but an elite player. But you got to squeeze him to have him talk, right? And that's just the way Woody is. So Kevin was the vocal guy out there, and he's continued to be able to do that. And his development, and that showed a lot with Eric, getting Eric out there. And not that Eric can't handle himself mentally, but still walking into that situation, I think their relationship was key for Eric to go out there and just, I'm good, I'm ready to go play and attack it. But Kevin has grown on the field, he's grown off the field. He continually grows from a young man to a man every single day, which is the most important part of this whole thing to me. But his development on the field has been very good. And again, I go back. The guy that he plays for is very, very, very good. Justin Enna is, a tough, hard-nosed, great teacher, demanding, yes, hug him up, yes, all those things that come with it. But that's just who Utah State football is. So that feeling of toughness and grit and hard working and smart football comes out of that room, and that's who we need to be as an Aggie football team. And those kids have done a great job of taking that on, that demeanor, and taking it out on the field. But again, Kevin's the one that's made that happen, so it's been fun to see. And Troy is, tough, physical, is becoming a student of the game, which is, quite frankly, the next step for him in his development. The consistency every single day in practice, film watching. How am I watching film? Am I really absorbing the film the way I need to understand my opponent, to give myself some pre-snap awareness? You can see that in players as they continue to develop just the confidence on the field. Now, obviously, they have to have the athletic ability. Troy's fearless. He's a tremendous tackler. His physicality, he wants to be there. He wants to smack you every opportunity he gets, and he seems to really be even in a better flow week in and week out because of what he's taking from his coach and Michael Caputo, what he's putting into his film research and his film study. And, the classroom is just as important as the practice field, and it's just as important as the game field. And I think Troy is really growing in that area and will continue to do so. And it's kind of those two guys together. Shaq is, one and the same. Shaq ends up in the post a little bit more than Troy does, but, Shaq's ability to communicate with the defense is definitely growing in all those areas I talked about also. So I'm proud of, both those two safeties, but it's great to see Troy, jump out as a JC guy who we had to have come in and play for us and play the way he's played.
Obviously, turnovers were a big storyline in the game. I mean, you forced 4 turnovers against a team that had 5 the entire season. So first, two-part question, how big of a deal was that? And secondly, how important was it to get some positive mojo in that department heading into the Boise State game?
Turnovers are always a huge stat, and it's a big spot on the stat line. And for us to be able to get the biggest, they're all big turnovers, but you could say the interception at the end of the game, yeah, that's a giant one. But to me, the turnover on the after at the first of the game there, right? It was the kids came out, and it was just, again, it was another situation with these kids, and I probably bore a lot of people when I say this stuff, but their ability to react in those settings has been remarkable to me. There wasn't any looking at, what happened there, who did this, here we go again. It was take the field, let's go, and go attack it. And I thought Coach Enna was aggressive with his calls there, which played out very well. It was great to see that happen. But the kids executed those calls and made a tremendous play there at the end. And, Troy forced the fumble, got on the fumble, and away we went. But that kind of set a tone there. It could have easily been, the first play, I think they caught like a 8-10 yard slant, whatever it was. And so they come back up, and, then we make some plays right in a row back to back to knock them back. So it was great to see that. But the turnovers are huge. It's, my opinion is with the defense that's a really good swarming defense, you'd like to see every 30 snaps a turnover take place. That's hard, but all of our goals are hard. We don't have a goal that we put on the offense, defense, or special teams that's easy to obtain, but that's a goal that you'd love to have as a swarming, attacking, aggressive defense. And it hasn't happened every week for us, but it happened in a big game when we needed it, and the kids executed it and made the plays. And when the ball was on the ground, they were able to get it. When it was in the air and it was their opportunity to get it, they got it. There was one we didn't get, but we got it a couple plays later, so that was good.
Can I ask the hard question about Jordan Love? Is Jordan Love going to play?
I really don't have anything on that yet. No comment. There's nothing really to tell at this point, so we'll see.
I assume Henry's getting snaps with the first team. How much involvement has he had during the year?
A lot. Henry's, if, for instance, we go 2-minute drill every week, we do it twice. When we go our crossover periods with the offense and defense, he gets a lot of snaps there. And there's some carryover there to what the opponent's doing, but it's also kind of a service period sometimes. So those aren't the exact reps that Jordan's getting, the exact looks of the defense, but he gets a really good fair amount of reps. And then Jordan takes the majority when they're in their scout scenarios. But enough, definitely. And I think the good thing about Henry and Andrew, when Andrew was there, Cooper's in that situation now. Josh is down running the scout team with us. So, but Henry has stayed just mentally. You just watch him in practice. It's not like he's over there just signaling and watching the birds fly around and the pigeons up on the press box. It's not what he's doing. He's in it. He sees it and he understands it, and I think he's really playing it out in his mind. So that's a credit to him. And Coach Sanford stays on him good in that situation to make sure they're continually growing. But Henry understands that those are big shoes to fill when that opportunity presents itself. And I thought he came in and it's not easy to hop in there in that situation, especially in that tense of a game, in that scenario, that setting against that defense, because that's a really good defense at Wyoming. And he made some plays. He made some plays with his legs. The ball that he threw over the top to I believe it was Jordan Nathan, if I remember right. That was a huge play in those moments. So, he made a good decision on the sack too. The linebacker, and I apologize, young man, for not knowing your name, but number 30 for Wyoming is a tremendous football player, and both those inside linebackers are great players. But if Henry throws that ball, number 30 probably picks it and scores a touchdown. So he didn't, and he took the sack, and we're in a good spot. So at least to punt it. So that's he made some good decisions. I was proud of him.
Boise State. One of the reasons they're one of the best teams in the conference year in and year out is their depth. They established that with their recruiting classes. Mm-hmm. How much are we truly going to find out about Utah State's depth this week?
Well, I think we found out that our depth is a bunch of fighters already and battlers and kids that are interested in, getting into that fight. I think we've also established through the year that when opportunity knocks, you have to take advantage of that opportunity. And if you don't, there's another young man that's going to be excited about have an opportunity knock for him. And that's just part of a structure of a team that's going to compete, that wants to fight, that, every kid should want to be on the field, right? That's why you're playing. You shouldn't be happy and satisfied by just watching the game or just putting on the Utah State football helmet. That shouldn't be the ultimate endpoint for you. And I think that, our kids have shown that. We'll find out a lot about our depth, to answer your question. Probably no more than we found out about our depth the last month of the season, quite frankly. There's been so many, look at the offensive line, you look at the linebacker spot, you look at the DBs, especially early in the year, the running back position when all of a sudden, Jalen was hurt for a couple weeks there, and, Enoch had to hop in there, and, Riley came in that situation, and, I can go on and on in those spots, not to bore you, but we've had a lot of those situations, and I think they'll react to the best of their ability, and I think they'll be excited about the opportunity to compete when the youth is given a chance.
How about Boise's on their third quarterback?
Yep.
And the guy's the player of the week.
He's really good. Yeah, he's and Boise again. They do a tremendous job of just. I think they stabilize their program very, very well. They recruit to who they are, what they're going to be, and that goes with that comes through time. That comes through commitment. They know who they're going to be on offense. They know who they're going to be on defense, and their ability to recruit at a high level is right there. I've banged against Boise for a long, long time. And there's there's 6 or 7 kids on that team, the places I've been in the past that we would love to have had. And, Boise got them. And Boise does a great job of recruiting them, identifying, get on them. They have a tremendous place to recruit to, which we all know. And so, we're excited about continually growing and building that and getting into that situation. Their reputation, speaks for itself. We'll get into those recruiting battles, and we'll see where it all goes. But I think the ability to sustain and maintain and stabilize a program the way they do with consistency, regardless of how many games they win, you have to look at them every single year. And when you go to media days, they're probably going to be almost always 1 or 2 every year, right? That's where they're going to be every single year. And that's what a program that's stabilized and every single year expects to have those great high expectations to be where they are this time in the year right now, playing a huge game in the third to last week in November, and that's where they expect to be every single year. Yeah? And that's where we want to be every single year. So it's a credit to them and their program, their administration, everything that goes with Boise, and that's what you want to be, right? You want to be in a position to be in special spots late in November, and that's where they found themselves, and they find themselves there most years.
Well, this guy looked really athletic besides being able to throw the ball. So gives them a real dimension at quarterback that's really kind of hard, I would imagine, at this point, too. Yeah,
the thing I was probably most impressed with is his ability. I believe it was the first play of the game. It was early, one or 2 plays into the game, and he just gets back and rifles the ball out of there, and he's very good moving out of the pocket in their boot game. And Boise's a team that'll move the pocket with a lot of different personnel groupings. So his ability to sit back in the pocket and wing it, his ability to get out on the open, he did that 3 or 4 times on the boots and gets out of the pot and spins that ball, and they're very good to some very good receivers. So he's seasoned, right? He's a senior. He's been there for a long time, obviously, and it's a lot like Eric, right? I mean, this kid got an opportunity. He took advantage of the opportunity and played great. And he absolutely was he had a special game, and he let the players around him make plays when they had the opportunity. And, it's another great story in college football. But we'll have our hands full, regardless who plays quarterback. I mean, who knows it's going to be. I guess that's the $1 million question on for both teams, right, as you look at it.
And then you talk about Wyoming being a good defense. Statistically, Boise State is even better, on the season. So this is really, to be honest, from start to finish, this has been the best side of their ball all year long, has been the defensive side.
Yes. They have some tremendous players. That starts with the defensive front for them. Physical, tough, game changers. The Weaver kid is fantastic. The Moe kid is, I believe he's 55 too, if I remember right, or 50. Tremendous player. They have a bunch of those guys inside, and 3 or 4 of those other kids that are just the tough, physical, play with great technique, technicians. I get a little bit of a scouting report on those kids over the summer from Coach Chad, because he coached them a year ago, but now obviously he's busy trying to win games at USC and doing his deal there. But so he loved those kids, so that tells me if he loves them, they're hard-nosed, tough guys, and the defense is built around kids that can run and skillful kids that have great length. So, we'll have our challenges for us. The wimpy kid, the inside linebacker, just because of our knowledge of him through the years and years of knowing the Wimpy boys, he's turned himself into a heck of a player also. So defensively, they believe in each other. They're tough-minded. They're physical, long, and play the game the way it should be played.
Hightower. So number 16, the wide receiver, one of the wide receivers, is averaging 20.4 yards of reception. Yeah. How imperative is it to limit his big plays? Well,
it's very important. And Boise does just such a great job of finding ways to use him within their scheme. It may be in a grouping of 2 tight end sets where they're play action passing, max protection, running boots. They do a great job with their crossing routes. Just they're smart the way they attack things. You can look at it and say, oh well, look, they're trying to get a pick here, trying to get a pick there, but they don't. They do a nice job of moving through things and sliding and getting those undercut routes, whether it's him or it's another kid. The big crossing boots across the backside are big trick plays that come in with Boise. So I've admired their offense for many, many, many years. I think it's a great way to play. They'll play with pace at times to get you offset. If it's a big play, you better be ready for pace coming back on you. So they have And that comes with time, He's a tremendous player. You give him an opportunity to get the ball, 50-50 ball, he's very good at. He's got great speed to pull away from you. I think he does a nice job of getting off man coverage from what I've seen. When you get up and press him in his face, he has the ability to, that doesn't bother him, which a lot of receivers, that does bother him. It doesn't seem to bother him a bit. So, he's surrounded by good players, and he's just another example of a really good football player that fits their scheme, and they use him the right way. And that's, it's a credit to the young man. It's a credit to the coaches, too, over the years, how they've built, that system to where it can handle, whatever's going to come this way. So if it was, snowing sideways on Saturday, they'd be prepared for that to be okay, and they'll run what they run if it's 70 degrees and clear, and they'll do what they're going to do to cause you problems that way, too. So it's a very good offense.
70 degrees and clear sounds really good.
Yeah, we'll take it. It'll be all right. It'll be a cool night, but it'll be a nice night. It couldn't have been better than it was Saturday. That was a beautiful night for us. So it'll be a 8:30 kicks. Cool. I wish, I think we all wish it was at 2 o'clock so everybody could see this game, but none of us control that. So we'll play when we play.
You said last week you hardly stepped to the defensive line room. So
probably the best thing I ever did, right?
Okay, so then, well, because you said they had their best game.
Exactly.
So,
I'm coaching them down to a bloody stump.
First off, then who's coaching them, and then what are you doing? Or
yeah.
without giving all the secrets.
Yeah, no, there's no secrets. It's like I said a couple weeks ago. I thought it really felt like it was important for me to really be, a head coach, and what I believe in, moving around and being part of things, being with the kids, and that goes from the young kids to the old kids to recruiting to making sure we're prepared as we move through the next 6 months. I always try to keep the kids and the coaches 6 months ahead, and that sounds crazy talking about that right now, but it's good. It keeps them at ease. It keeps them where they need to be so they can stay busy at the task at hand, which is winning football games. I think that's good for players and coaches. It's just at the beginning of this year, I felt like we had 9 full-time coaches. We didn't have 10 full-time coaches. We have 9. And I did that. I made that decision. Nobody else made that decision. It's not because we couldn't. It's because I didn't. I didn't think it was the best thing for us to get the coaches here that we needed and help ourselves in all aspects of the program. So I was heavily involved with the defensive line. You all know we have Bojay here and we have Al here. I think that Bojay's done a great job. Bojay's the main lead guy in there now, and we kind of split it a little bit early on, and we were deciding how much we were going to be an odd front this year versus an even front this year. Well, it became clear as we went through time that we were going to be an even front for the most part and play with 2 defensive ends and 2 defensive tackles with personnel that we had. You don't want to take those kids off the field. They're the most experienced kids we have on the team as far as defense goes. And so I was with them a lot early on, and I kind of, weaned myself off of that as we went through time, and Al started taking a much more aggressive role with the defensive tackles, and Bojay, kept running those meetings as far as we didn't break off anymore, and he started running the meeting, and so it was just time for me to step away and let those guys do their job. And I think Al's done a great job of growing into that position, and he's going to be a great full-time coach, and when that opportunity presents to him, that's been good for him. And Bojay's just continued to grow, handling that room. So there's 2 of them in there, and those kids are in very good hands, and they're experienced too, right? That's a tough-minded crew. They got a lot of miles on them and a lot of reps underneath them, so it allows them to be able to handle some things as far as game prep on their own. But again, they're in great hands with those 2 coaches.
Now coming up, Kevin Meitzenheimer, who Eric Munoz, the Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Week, said he owed a lot to. Eric had those 2 interceptions, 13 tackles, 7 of them solo, but gave a lot of credit to Kevin. And in response, Kevin said it's a position that Eric has always put himself in. Here is Kevin Meitzenheimer.
I feel like the defense played pretty good. I mean, the good thing about the game is when you win, and there's so many things you could have done better to make it a way better performance. I mean, there's so many things we could improve on, even though we got the W. So, I mean, we just got to watch the film and see what we could do better. So,
you and Eric, it just really seemed like you fed off of each other. He had the 2 big interceptions. You Mac trucked that guy on the screen pass, had that 4th down stop inside the 5-yard line. How much did you guys just feed off of each other's energy and strong play there?
Feed off each other a lot. I mean, that just goes to show how we are off the field. I mean, we feed off each other no matter where we're at, like whether we're in weight room, treatment, upstairs, eating. I mean, we feed off each other, so that really showed the work we put in during the week also. I mean, watched a lot of film, so we was able to make those plays that we needed to make.
Eric talked about how you guys are best friends. How soon after he got here did you guys kind of get to that level?
As soon as he got here, actually, like, as soon as he got here, he was already, like, open. I was like, dang, like, I feel like I knew him forever. And he went to JUCO in California, so, like, kind of had the same lingo down and stuff. So, I mean, as soon as he got here, we're friends. Been friends since then, so.
Coach A talked about how you're kind of the vocal leader on the defense. Does that come natural to you, or is that something you've had to work on?
No, because right now I feel like I'm stuttering, so I don't think I'm a vocal. Well, I mean, on the field, I feel like I know where people need to be. I just know football, but I mean, it doesn't come natural. It just, I guess, I mean, it just comes out when I'm out there. I'm like, okay, do this. I see this coming. I try to let everybody know what's happening. So, I mean, communication breeds confidence. So.
Have you felt like you've had to elevate what you do when Woodward has been out?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, he's a playmaker. I mean, everybody had to step up because there was plays that he would make that nobody else could have made. So anything that he would have done, we all had to do. So I mean, Munoz came in and stepped in and made some big plays like he would have. So it's good to see.
What's been the biggest difference on defense the past couple weeks versus this? You had a rough stretch there for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's time kind of turned around.
Yeah, I mean, the way you practice, watching more film, I mean, seeing what you did wrong. So we stopped doing what we were doing bad, kept doing what we were doing good, and made things simple. Like, simplified everything, make sure everybody was on the same page, everybody was doing their 1/11th, and everything came into place. Could have played even better, but, I mean, pretty good game.
How big of a deal was it? I mean, you guys really dialed up some good pressure on their quarterback on Saturday. How big of a deal was it to get that momentum going, especially going into a game against Boise State? Boise State has some great offensive linemen, but they've given up a fair amount of sacks this year. So how important was it to establish that mojo going into that game? I
mean, it was very important because the things that we've taken from this game we could take going forward. I mean, especially, and also when you have Tipa on your side, I mean, it's pretty easy, but just watching things that we did, knowing how we could build off and what teams could do to us, so we could go back, watch it all, and see what we could do to be better versus Boise.
The theme for this game leading up to Wyoming was physical.
Mm-hmm.
Coach wanted you guys to be physical and match the physicality within. Do you guys feel like you did that on defense?
Yeah, for sure. I think if the physicality was there, I mean, the linebackers personally, he came at us saying, like, we needed to be better, so we stepped it up to the challenge and tried to play hard as we can, fast as we can, as smart as we can. So the physicality was definitely there.
Well, last year when we played Boise, you were starting to play more in the season last year. Mm-hmm. You guys went up there you'd been on a roll and didn't win that game. What was the feeling of like that last year, and how much does that lead towards what you want to do this Saturday?
I mean, that game, it was hurtful because we got one game closer to, you know what I'm saying, going to the Mountain West Championship, and we couldn't do it. So now that I'm more part of it, I feel like I have to step up in a huge way so I can send all my seniors out with a bang. So we need to win this game and win the next one so we could achieve our goal of going to the Mountain West Championship and possibly winning it. So I have to do it for my seniors.
How big of a deal is it for you to be a part of a game here against Boise State, a meaningful game at home? I mean, the Aggies have played Broncos for Mountain Division title a couple times, but both games have been there. So, yeah. I mean, just how excited does that make it that you're playing a meaningful game late in the season here against them? Oh,
that's huge because I feel like we have the best fans in the whole league. So the crowd behind us, that home atmosphere, there's nothing like it. The herd is crazy, our fans are crazy. That's huge having that game here, so we make the best of it.
Have you looked at anything at Boise State? I know you'll do a lot more as the week goes on, but what are your first initial thoughts of things you got to do? What do you have to take care of? What do they do well? That kind of stuff.
Stop the runs, number one, always number one. Their third-string quarterback, I think he's actually pretty good. I mean, he's a pretty good quarterback. And then the receivers, I feel like they get them the ball in space and try to make one of the corners miss and keep it going. They get the ball to their playmakers. They're great on defense. So, I mean, we got to match their intensity, their physicality, and we'll be okay.
And then just Was Eric as emotional after the game once he talked to the media and everything? I mean, how did he? I mean, because he really put quite a session together with the media and things, talking about how much this meant to him, and you could tell, and he talked about you and his parents and everything like that. Can you tell us how he was after?
Yeah, so, I mean, even before that, I've seen him probably once before too, because football means everything to him. I mean, he's always stayed patient, always stayed humble. But after the game, he's like, he comes to the locker room, he's sitting there like wiping his face. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, I just bawled. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because I didn't know. He said he cried throughout the whole thing, and he was kind of like laughing about it. And I'm like, bro, you're soft. You're soft. But I seen it, and I was like, dang, you almost made me shed a tear. So I'm like, proud of that dude, my best friend. Appreciate him.
He cried about you too.
Yeah, appreciate him a lot. I ain't gonna cry though.
And finally, Dominik Eberle, who set the Mountain West Conference record for field goals made in a career at 59.
Wyoming win is very important for us. I mean, it keeps us right in the conference race. We knew that they were going to be a tough team defensively and that we needed any opportunity to score and convert on those. And I felt like we did a really good job driving down the field, scoring touchdowns on the first couple drives, and then even though we probably should have had one or two more touchdowns, just getting points on the board and separating ourselves was really good. And I think that the offense from every position, running back, wide receiver, quarterback, just stepped up and did a great job.
You kicked 14, I think, of your field goals in conference games. And I think the one game we didn't win in conference, you didn't get a chance to kick in one. So they've come in really important games for this team to do what you wanted to do as your goals. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's just good to get those opportunities. I really like that, whether the offense is going to score touchdowns or, if we're going to score field goals, we're getting points on the board. And I just got to do my job and help the team no matter what to achieve a win. I mean, I'd rather kick PATs, to be honest, but when they're field goals and they're going in, that's also really good, and I'm glad that I'm able to step up and help the team that way.
I assume breaking the field goal record for the Mountain West Conference is one of your goals coming to Utah State. Do you have a number that you want to reach now that you've broken that record?
As many as I can. I mean, I wasn't really aware of the Mountain West until a couple of weeks ago. I always wanted to break Coach Brad Bond's record. He's the one that, said it and everything. And that was the one thing from day one since I started training with him where he would tell me, hey, you got to break 59. And after every game, pretty much, he would text me, 54 more or 13 more. So that was pretty amazing to do that.
How meaningful have these records been the last couple of weeks? Knowing that they've come in wins and when they've been meaningful field goals that have really helped lift your team to those wins.
They're great. I mean, I don't want to focus on those. Those are things that I set before the season or before my career even began, and it's great to be able to help the team out that way. And when you win and break those records, and when you win and achieve something like that, that's what makes the feeling even better. It's not a selfish goal; it's a team goal. Because when, you kick field goals and you end up winning the game on a field goal against Fresno, I mean, that was raw emotion. I hugged Jordan. I mean, that's the best kind of feeling in the world when you can help contribute to whatever team set out as a goal back in January.
You're on the sideline a lot and see the guys coming and going and all. Can you give us a read? Is there anything different about the team these last two games that was not there in the two games where it didn't seem like everybody was playing very well in those two games against Air Force and BYU?
I mean, on the sideline, everyone has more grit. I mean, everyone kind of made it a personal attack to them about those 2 weeks where rather than just, being the guy to get punched on, they want to be the guy doing the punching. They want to be like a boxer doing the heavy hits. They want to finish that knockout blow. And I feel like over the past 2 weeks, that's kind of where, there's not a saying, but a lot of people always say that, we can't win close games, we can't do that, and we're really doing a great job changing that culture. I mean, going out and winning 2 tough away games in conference and now winning against Wyoming at home in a close game where the defense stepped up and made a great play. I mean, Eric Munoz, a fantastic player, has stepped up and did a great job this week where, that's really the change that we've seen on the sideline where everybody's coming more and more together. about wanting to change that culture and, setting forth towards our goal.
You guys have really played some meaningful games against Boise State over the last 4 or 5 years, but they've been there. How nice is it to have them here for a game that's, for a good chance of a division title?
I mean, it's great. I mean, it's always a big game between us two. My true freshman year when I redshirted, we beat them here, which was a great experience. And I want to repeat that again with all the seniors that came in for that experience, and then just in general, every one of my teammates. I mean, it's a huge game. Our focus is solely on them, and I think this week of practice is going to determine so much more about how the game is going to go than, like when the game actually happens. I feel like the preparation to it will be the most important.
Let me ask you, you and I, that one day in practice, we were talking about all the things you do off the field. Why do you do all that stuff?
Are you talking about school?
With school and stuff you've done with the community and different things like that. Why?
I just love being involved in the community. I mean, I always looked up to soccer players who did the same thing, where they weren't too big for, other people or people that they influence. And, I have my mentors and my people that I aspire to be or that I look up to that have done those things. So I feel like just giving back is truly what's something that makes me me. And that's what I want to be known for, rather than just being a football player, being a guy that, can be friends with kids, can go out, have a guy recognize me and then play football with him or like toss the ball around, just have an experience that they're going to hold on to for a while.
Anything else for Dom?
Really quickly, when on a field goal, I know you can't control where it's put, but for that Fresno State game, you were able to. Do you ever tell the coach or somebody, hey, put it right here for me because this is where I like it most? Or is it in that Fresno State game, for example?
Yeah, I mean, I prefer left middle. I mean, just right around the left upright. That's what my preferred spot is, but I don't actively think about that. I mean, when we have the luxury to do that, like we did against Fresno, where we're already on the left hash and then we can just center it a little bit, that makes things easier. I mean, that's where, I wouldn't say I'm most comfortable at, but that's where in practice, because we track all the kicks, that's where the highest percentage is at. That's where we're going to say, that's where we have the best chance of making it 99 to 100% of the time.
All right, that does it for this week's edition of the Utah State Football Presser. Remember, you can always find this on our podcast platform, Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. The Full Court Press is on from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday with Eric Franson and myself. And you can also stream the show on 1069thefan.com. Until next week,